Your heart is racing. Your palms are sweating. You just read an email from your boss. Nothing is chasing you. Nothing is trying to eat you. But your body doesn't know that. It's reacting the exact same way it would if a lion had just stepped out of the grass 20 feet away. Same flood of chemicals, same tightening chest, same urge to run. Why would a stressful email trigger the same response as a predator attack? The answer isn't in your inbox. It's buried about 300,000 years in your past. Your brain was built for a world that no longer exists, and it never got the memo that things changed. Back then, on the open grasslands of what's now East Africa, your ancestors lived surrounded by things that wanted to kill them. Lions, hyenas, leopards that could climb trees faster than you could think about climbing one. Survival didn't depend on being the strongest animal out there. It depended on one thing: speed of reaction. The humans who survived weren't the ones who calmly assessed a rustling bush and considered the statistical likelihood of danger. They were the ones who ran first and thought later. Every single person alive today is descended from someone who reacted fast enough, often enough to keep breathing. That's not a metaphor, that's biology. In the early 1900s, a physiologist named Walter Cannon studied this reaction in animals and gave it a name you've probably heard: fight or flight. Cannon found that when an animal senses danger, its body doesn't wait for permission. Adrenaline floods the bloodstream, heart rate spikes, blood gets pulled away from digestion and pushed toward your muscles. Your pupils widen, your senses sharpen. All of that happens before you've even consciously registered what you're looking at. Here's the part that should stop you. This response starts in a tiny, almond-shaped cluster of neurons deep in your brain called the amygdala. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping exactly how this works, and what he found was unsettling in its simplicity. The amygdala doesn't wait for your thinking brain to weigh in. It acts first. It reacts to a shape, a sound, a shadow, and sends out the alarm before the rational part of your mind even knows there's a decision to make, which means, in a very real sense, you are not the first responder to danger in your own body. Some ancient part of you is, and that ancient part cannot tell the difference between a lion and a deadline. Think about what your body actually needs fight or flight for today. You're not running from predators anymore. Most people reading this will never be chased by an animal in their entire life, but the switch is still there, fully wired, fully functional, and it's getting flipped constantly by things that have nothing to do with physical survival. A red notification badge, a tense conversation with a family member, being put on the spot in a meeting, scrolling past bad news at 11 at night. None of these will kill you, but your amygdala doesn't know that. It just knows something feels like a threat, and it hits the same ancient alarm it always has. So what happens when that alarm goes off constantly for reasons that were never supposed to trigger it in the first place? This is where the research gets genuinely strange. Neuroendocrinologist Robert Sapolsky spent years studying stress in wild baboons, and he made an observation that reframes the entire problem. In the wild, a zebra's stress response turns on for exactly as long as the lion is chasing it. The second the danger passes, it's over. The zebra goes back to grazing within minutes, as if nothing happened. Humans don't do that. You can lie in bed at 2 a.m. running the same stressful meeting through your head for the 4th time, and your body responds as if it's happening right now. The lion isn't there. It was never there, but your nervous system runs the tape again anyway, adrenaline and all. Sapolsky's famous line captures it precisely. Zebras don't get ulcers. Humans do, because humans are the only animal capable of turning on a survival response using nothing but a memory or an imagined future. That's the twist nobody tells you. Your greatest evolutionary advantage, the ability to imagine, to plan, to replay the past, and rehearse the future, is also what keeps your ancient alarm system firing long after any real danger has passed. You are, in a strange way, both the lion and the person being chased. So why hasn't evolution fixed this yet? Why are you still walking around with hardware built for a savanna, using it to survive a world of emails and traffic and social media? Because evolution doesn't work on the timeline you'd want it to. 300,000 years sounds ancient, but on an evolutionary clock, it's barely a blink. The agricultural revolution happened around 12,000 years ago, the industrial revolution, a couple hundred. The smartphone in your pocket has existed for less than 20 years. Your amygdala had no time to update. It's still running the oldest, most successful program it has. React first, ask questions, never. And in fairness, that program worked. It's the reason you exist at all. Every ancestor who hesitated too long, who waited to be certain before reacting, likely didn't get the chance to pass anything on. The nervous system you have today is the direct result of thousands of generations of humans who reacted fast and lived. But there's a piece of good news buried in all of this. Understanding where the reaction comes from changes your relationship to it. The next time your chest tightens before a hard conversation or your stomach drops when your phone buzzes at an odd hour, you can recognize what's actually happening. That's not weakness. That's not your body malfunctioning. That's a 300,000-year-old survival system doing exactly what it was built to do, just aimed at the wrong target. You're not broken. You're ancient. Some researchers now believe that simply naming this process, understanding that the amygdala is reacting to a perceived threat rather than a real one, can help slow the response down. Not eliminate it. You wouldn't want to eliminate it completely. It's still useful when a car swerves into your lane. But recognizing it for what it is gives the newer, slower part of your brain, the part capable of reflection, a chance to catch up before the ancient part takes over completely. That's the real trade your ancestors couldn't make. They didn't have the luxury of a second to think. You do. Every time you feel that surge, that tightening, that urge to run from something that isn't actually dangerous, you're feeling the echo of every human who ever outran a predator to make your existence possible. It's not a flaw in the system. It is the system still running, still doing its job, just in a world it was never designed for. So tonight, when your heart races over something small, remember what's actually happening underneath it. Nothing is chasing you, but somewhere inside you, a part of your brain still hasn't heard the news.